A very warm welcome. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. Turkey is set for presidential polls in May this year, and its current president Recep Tayyip Erdogan is struggling to protect his tarnished image. This as anger among the Turks is rising sharply, just like the death toll from the earthquakes that hit the country on February 6th. What's ironical is that it was the 1999 Izmit earthquake that propelled Erdogan, bringing his party AKP to power in 2003. And that's the question that geostrategists are now trying to answer. Will this earthquake also mean political change for Turkey? A young Erdogan had promised to heal Turkey that was reeling under a disaster that even then had killed over 17,000 people. As a result, Erdogan worked to transform Turkey in the years that followed his election in 2003. He promised economic and social transformation in the process. Following Erdogan's 2003 election, government permits for housing construction tripled. Skyscrapers, bridges, and smooth tarmac roads spread across the vast country. Subsequently, a handful of construction companies with ties to the government grew powerful. But many of those same concrete apartment blocks built as part of the AKP's construction boom were razed to the ground by the earthquake that struck Turkey in February this year. In fact, Erdogan's government has been accused of contributing to the devastation caused by last month's earthquakes. This by undermining long-established construction safeguards, which allegedly paved the way for the disaster that unfolded last month. The death toll in the massive earthquakes last month stands at more than 45,000, according to Turkey's disaster management agency. It is the worst natural disaster in a century. Some 214,000 buildings containing 608,000 apartments either collapsed or suffered heavy damage. So much so, the tragedy has brought to light decades-old urbanistic mismanagement and even placed the ruling AK party under intense pressure. Turkey's Ministry of Justice has arrested more than 230 people, mostly contractors, in connection with the building collapses. Many have focused and cast the blame on existing building regulations. What stood out is a 2018 amnesty law legalizing hundreds of thousands of structures across Turkey. These structures did not have planning permission or had disregarded building codes, including earthquake safety measures. Under the amnesty law, the owner of an unauthorized construction could just pay a fee and have it legalized without extensive inspection. In other words, the new regulation allowed builders to skirt building codes while the government collected fee and fines. And guess what? Erdogan's government collected 23 billion Turkish lira. That's nearly $4 billion at the time after the 2018 legislation went into effect. And that's why I beg the question, will Turkey's recent earthquakes usher yet another political change? One that's much needed for Turkey to salvage its economy and the country's political system. The Erdogan government's response to relief efforts have also come under heavy criticism. Here's what quake victims have had to say.
I talked to them and heard their voice, but unfortunately, as you can see here, they're very slow at work and they don't have enough equipment.
Erdogan has pledged to rebuild homes within a year. In fact, Turkey's president is confident of his return.
Şunu iyi bilin ki bu millet inşallah vakit geliyor 14 Mayıs'ta gereğini yapacaktır. Ve asla bu tür kuru sıkı atanlara da prim vermeyecektir.
Nonetheless, it will be many months before thousands can swap tents or containers and queues for food handouts or permanent housing. In fact, a UN agency has already made an assessment. It says damage caused by a devastating earthquake in Turkey will exceed $100 billion. But Turkey's disenchantment with Erdogan and the ruling AKP dates back to an economic crisis, one that's been looming over the country much before the February 6th earthquake. Before the disaster, Erdogan's popularity had already been eroded in recent years by soaring inflation and a slump in the lira. That slump hit living standards, fueling a cost of living crisis. Some opinion polls in recent months have even shown signs of a pickup in Erdogan's support. But the fact remains, Turkey's inflation hit a new 24-year high beyond 80% in September last year. And that's why many are now placing their bets on Turkish opposition leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. On Monday, the man emerged as the main challenger to President Tayyip Erdogan. This after a six-party alliance picked him as per expectations as its presidential candidate. Now, polls suggest that the presidential and parliamentary votes in 2 months will be a tight race. This with the opposition bloc running slightly ahead of the governing alliance, that is, of Erdogan's. The bloc has vowed to reverse many of Erdogan's policies on the economy, civil rights, and even foreign affairs. In fact, many see Turkey's upcoming election as the most consequential in the republic's 100-year history.